Well, as we enter into 2016, I'm sure there's a lot on your mind in setting priorities, goals for the new year. Everybody does it. Some people call it resolutions. And one of the biggies for most of us is our diets. What are we going to eat? Think about all those holiday casseroles and desserts and all those delicious foods that we put down. And now you're saying, I've got to do something. I've got to make a difference in the way I feel. And so you look at the new year and you think, well, I'm going to start eating more salads, or I'm going to, do something. But as you get going, it kind of falls off. You lose your enthusiasm and you're right back into those same cycles. And so today, I want to talk about getting a healthy start in 2016 and really making some long-term plans, intentional plans that could help make you look a lot better, feel a lot better. And we're going to do that with my good friend, Antonio Neal. Antonio, Happy New Year.
Hey, Byron. Thanks for having me, man. Happy New Year to everybody that's listening right now.
I am so glad to get you back in the studio. The last time we were here was with your wife, Shay.
Yeah.
We talked about your marriage, the journey of how you two came together.
Right.
And really is a miracle of God what he's done in your life, coming from Georgia originally.
Well, yeah, coming from here, actually before we moved to Memphis, we were in Nashville for like 12 years, and I met her in high school in Houston.
It was
Texas.
Houston.
Yeah.
Now, where did
yeah.
Georgia come up?
I don't know.
Reason?
Georgia's on your mind, man.
Georgia. There you go, man. Georgia on my mind.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I was talking to a guy over the weekend who just came from Atlanta. Maybe that's what it was, and I kind of got the story mixed up. I apologize.
No, it's all good.
I've been noticing for the past few months now your Facebook post, and you've been given these insights into how you have been changing your lifestyle.
Right.
And I want to underline changing the lifestyle, because I think it's not just a diet plan. It's got to be a lifestyle change. And I've been seeing just pounds melt off of you, And I said, what is he doing? Is he getting some type of injections, or, what's going on, And so you and I have been wanting to get together anyway. And then when I thought, well, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to start off the new year, talk about it, because this has been on my mind.
Yeah.
And you've actually inspired me, and I've actually dropped a few pounds, not nearly as much as you have, but I appreciate you coming by.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man.
Eating for you, I mean, was it just anything, everything? Did you have some type of, standard of what you wanted to eat, or, what was it got you on the start, I guess, of trying to see some difference in your appearance and the way you feel?
Well, man, I grew up just straight Southern boy, Southern cooking, just the way I was raised. My mom, everybody else in my family, all my aunts, just eating Southern cooking. That means everything. I would eat everything but chitlins and squirrels and other stuff like that. But if it was just like what I would call the normal American diet, I ate it. And a lot of fried foods, a lot of red meats, a lot of pork, a lot of breads and butter and sugar and all that, sweet drinks. And that's how I came up. And, that's just a part of your life. And I was watching an interview the other day with a doctor, and he said, everything that we eat is an acquired taste except for breast milk. I didn't know that. Everything that we eat, actually we learn from somebody or from a culture. The only thing we come here wanting to really have a taste for is your mom's breast milk, right? And so when I started getting that in my head, like everything that I'm eating, all my bad habits, I've learned from culture. I've learned from someone. I learned from mainly my own house and how I grew up eating. And in August, I would say in June and July of last year, to kind of fast forward a little bit, man, I got to a point where I was just sick, man. I got to a point where I'm like, 300 pounds. I'm 6'4", so I'm tall, so I can carry it well. But I just wasn't myself. I wasn't feeling well. My body was swelling up. I had inflammation everywhere, man. A lot of stuff I can share. And I don't want to give it all on the beginning of the show, but I just wasn't myself. That was the main thing. I wasn't happy. So much going on in my life that I just wasn't me. That's the biggest part. I just wasn't myself. And I started studying and finding out about how food impacted my life. And that was the beginning of my journey. I started researching food.
Well, and of course, you mentioned about your upbringing, being, a Southern boy. Of course, I was too. And, your mom my mom used to have a little can of bacon drippings that she would, put in the lima beans or the green beans off the stove. And so, you grew up with these little, buttery, dishes and extra sugar and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But was it more than the diet or the way the food was prepared for you growing up? Some people have an emotional attachment to food. Maybe they're depressed, or maybe there's something that, traumatic that's happened in their life, and they grab some Lay's potato chips and hang out on the couch for a few hours.
Well, I think for me, it was how I grew up. First of all, it's just the way. I mean, a lot of us, just the way it is, as to what you grew up liking based on what was made available in your home. But I think as we get older, I think some of those other things, like I didn't grow up having a lot of Lay's potato chips in my house. I grew up with biscuits, and I grew up with cornbread. I grew up with this real food in my house. Now, I didn't grow up with a lot of fast food. Personally, I didn't. But as I got older, I did started finding myself go for the foods that was comfort. If I'm having a hard time with my business, I find myself grabbing. I'm having a hard time, on my job or things going on in my life. I'm eating late at night when I didn't supposed to eat late at night. So these things, I think everybody has that go-to comfort food. Hey, for the women out there, talk to them, for the women out there, when your husband ain't acting right, you go talk to your best friend chocolate, And so all these other things in our life, like myself, I found myself going to burger joints, and I found myself going to chicken joints, on the way home. If me and my wife wasn't acting right, I found myself finding comfort in these things that was kind of like, okay, I just need to blow some steam off. And so instead of going to the gym, I found myself at a drive-through window.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with me.
Of course, I grew up in a single-parent home. My mom worked a lot of hours and hard, and so fast food was an option for us many times. I mean, she did do some cooking,
I got you.
But it was just more convenient for the fast food, But, when I was a youngster at that time, there wasn't, I mean, of course, you had your McDonald's, of course, right. And you had, I think Taco Bell was kind of new.
Yeah.
But, you didn't have as much as you do have now. Yeah. And you didn't have all these wild dishes that these fast food, you got like chili, cheese, stuff. And they put it up on these signs when you
fondue.
When you drive down Poplar Avenue. Fondue. I just saw the other day, Wendy's, fondue, chicken, bacon, cheese, fries.
That's right. That's right. You know what? I saw a report the other day said we pass an average of 200 fast food restaurants a day. An average of 200 going to work and back. An average days, we see about 200 fast food restaurants a day, man. And it's like, we say no 199 times most of the time. Well, maybe 197. But we pass most of them up. But one or two of them going to trip us up on the way home or something like that. So to know that we get that inundated with what we see when we drive in our cars, and then television is a whole nother thing. And, man, it's just a battle that we all have to make a decision. Are you worth the change? And that's what happened to me. I had to make a decision in my life. Am I worth having a healthy lifestyle? And the answer was yes for me.
And the answer is yes for all of us. And the reason it is the fact that we were created in the image of God.
That's right.
And as a follower of Christ, our bodies are a temple of the Holy Spirit where
right. God
dwells,
Right.
And it also speaks of several things when it comes to the Spirit-filled life. And one of the areas is self-control, that is a fruit of the Spirit, and it's convicting to me to think, okay, am I nearly 300 pounds, and yet I can't control what I put into my body, Something's got to change. Right. And for me personally, I was starting to feel bad, like you said, and that's really what happens. You get to a point where, you either going to have to care to do something or not care at all.
That's right.
And my family around me was saying, hey, we love you. I have a granddaughter who I love. And they were saying, listen, we want you to be around for your granddaughter.
Right.
And I got to thinking, it was kind of sobering, to realize. And, and I've yo-yoed on different kind of plans,
right.
Years ago here through the radio station. I was on this Nutrisystem, and I actually lost over 52 pounds. There were several other local disc jockeys that were doing the program, and no one lost as much as I did.
Okay.
And I was really feeling good, man. I got down to really my high school pant size. I had energy.
Wow.
Feeling good, going on for about 2 years. And I had literally, had made some choices, even coming off of the Nutrisystem food. I had learned how to eat, for about 2 years. It was doing great. But then for me, Antonio, it seems like the stresses, just life, dealing with, difficulties and things, I find security in finding, in food, which is the wrong thing.
That's right.
That's not self-control.
I got you. Yeah, self-control is a big thing because, it wasn't really until I look back, Byron, after, I juice fast for 103 days straight. And I'm not telling anybody to do that, but for myself, I literally juice fast for 103 days without fail. And what I didn't understand self-control until I looked back. And I couldn't believe that I did it. Because once I told my wife on August the 12th, 2015, and my children, today is the day I'm going to change my life. And I apologized to my family. I literally brought them in the front room. I apologized to them, sat them down and told them I have not been being the example that they should be. But I didn't understand self-control, and I didn't understand how much of an influence that food and the food addiction had on my life until I turned around and looked back and see what I had done, because I made up my mind. And so anytime you're going to accomplish something, I don't care what it is, having a reason to do it, having a goal, and deciding to make a plan, and having people in accountability with you, and then making a decision to walk it out. I didn't know that I could have self-control. All I knew was what I didn't do right, but I found out that my plan, people ask me all the time, Antonio, what was your plan? I had a one-day plan that I repeated every day. I did not fill my life up with all these things, all these 90-day plans. No, I had a one-day plan. I made up my mind that I was going to make right decisions every day, and I was going to repeat it the next day. So the first day that I was able to complete it, I did it again. I did the same thing I did the day before. All I did was repeat the first day over and over and over again. That was to get fruits and vegetables and water in me as much as possible. It wasn't a diet. You have to have a reason to set goals, and you have to make plans to accomplish your goals. And then you have to have accountability people in your life. And then you have to commit to what you say. And so the reason that we don't have self-control in certain areas because we're not committing to it. So committing ourselves, meaning I'm not going to stop. And so as a point in my life when I said, I'm going to have to keep my word one day. I continued to fail myself, my wife, my children. I did not keep my word. So there was one day on August the 12th of last year that I said, I'm going to keep my word to me. It doesn't matter what comes. I don't care whose birthday, bar mitzvah. I don't care Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter to me what's going on. I have made a goal, and I'm not going to let anybody else's situation turn me around from that. And that is how things started to change in my life, because I set my mind on it, and I said, I don't care what's happening. I don't care if you bring my favorite food in here. I don't care if you bring my favorite snack. I have a goal, and I'm going to keep my word to myself. And for the first time in probably 20 years, I put my life above somebody else's desire for me.
Yeah.
I had to take a stand for me.
And that's the key right there. You have to take a stand for yourself.
Yeah.
And there's so many, folks that are listening right now, Antonio, that say, well, I've tried that. I can't do it. But you said some key things in your last statement, and that is that you had a plan and you had some accountability.
Right.
A lot of times I think we have this plan, but as you mentioned, you've got the office party, so-and-so, they're having, where my mom works, they take everybody's birthday, in that month, and they have a big party, you know, and they bring all kinds of food in, good and bad food. And so, and that happens countless times.
Every day.
Yeah. And so you have to be intentional. You have to think about ahead of time, prepare for yourself. Yeah. Think about, what are those healthy snacks that I can have? What are those things that, in order to change a habit, you got to not just quit a bad habit, you've got to replace it with something good or better.
That's right.
And that's the only way you can see change. And your taste starting changing. Thankfully, this past Christmas, my wife got in on the plan when it came to food prep.
Right.
And she made dishes she knew that were healthy, not just for me, but for all of us to enjoy.
Okay.
And everybody who ate at our dinner table said, this was one of the best Christmas meals we had. And we still had tasty food. It wasn't like we were just eating, raw, spinach or something.
That's right.
There was flavor to it, but it was prepared in a way that was healthier for everybody. And so you have to be intentional with what you're going to put into yourself.
Right. And I would say, I like what you said earlier about planning. I mean, I'm learning that I should never leave my home on an empty stomach. So if I am going to eat right, if I am going to create this new culture in my life, I know that I can't leave my house without being full of water and having my juice and having the good food. And if whatever I'm eating, I don't leave my house anymore on an empty stomach, because that's how you fall into traps. So I make sure I eat. I eat before I leave. I make sure that I'm not starving. So when I do go to a party, an event, or something like that, and there's some food there that I may not want to consume, I'm not starving. So I set myself up. I take, You know, I may take some almonds with me. I may take an orange with me. I may have an apple in my backpack. You don't know it. The people around me don't know
Right.
it. But I'm making sure that I'm not getting myself in some starvation mode.
Yeah, don't set yourself up.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten into eating raw cashews, you know, unprocessed cashews, and having some of those on hand. You mentioned almonds.
Yeah.
And, of course, fruit, apples, and oranges and things like that, you know, really do help offset some of that. Over the holiday, just recently, case in point, I was at an event with a group of friends, and they catered in Gus's fried chicken.
Oh, no.
My goodness.
Not Gus's, please.
Gus's fried chicken, some of the best, you know. And they had these big pans of those delicious Gus's fried chicken, breast and legs and thighs. The
Okay,
whole,
that's enough.
You know.
That's enough.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but then there was another big tray of their Gus's macaroni and cheese, you know. And I'm looking at it saying, I choose not. I don't say I can't eat it. I said I choose not to eat that, because can I eat it? Yes, I could eat it like they're eating it, but I'm going to make a decision not to eat it. But there was also a pan of turnip greens. Okay, now my favorite is not turnip greens. I've never liked turnip greens, but as I surveyed the food on the table, that was really the only thing in a moderate portion that I felt like I could eat and be okay to have some nutrition. You know. And so, and like I said, I don't like, and I've eaten all kinds of turnip greens over the years. I just don't like them.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, since I haven't been eating a lot of processed food, since I haven't been eating a lot of sugars, and I haven't been eating a lot of what other stuff, keeping stuff, the healthy stuff in and the bad stuff out, I've been changing lately, the greens tasted actually really good. And I said, these greens are great. I really enjoy the taste. And it's amazing when you stay off the sugars and when you stay off certain things for a period of time, how food that you might not have liked before starts tasting really good.
Yeah, I think it's that acquired taste thing. It's that to me, fruits. What I learned that fruits and vegetables and water. What happens in your system when you consistently eat them? Eventually, the good stuff going to win out, because that's how you were engineered. You were engineered to consume, and your body was engineered and created to take the good stuff. And so, eventually, once you start flooding your life with the fruits and the vegetables and the water, eventually you're going to start wanting that, but it's going to take some time for you. It's in other words, if you got the processed food horse and you got the real food horse, give them an opportunity in your life to start working out, and you'll find that some of those tastes that you acquired over time will begin to really begin to wane just a little bit. And that's what happened to me. But again, it comes back. You said something really important, Byron. You said you made up your mind. You committed. You made up your mind that I can, but you made a choice not to. And I have to do this every day. I've been on this journey since August the 12th, and I have to make that same decision, even with my success, every single day.
Well, I think when you say I can't have that, mentally you're setting yourself up for, well, sure I can. I mean, you give yourself a mental battle, to go through. But if you say it, I choose not to, you're putting yourself in control.
I'm in control.
There's that self-control we were talking about. I choose not to do that for good reasons, Okay, when we talk about juicing, we talk about, eating healthy. For a budget, it can get expensive. Can it? Can it get pricey?
I don't think it's more expensive than cancer and heart disease and diabetes and all that. I don't think so. If you look at it from something moment by moment, then that $4.99 meal that you just bought, which it's only gonna satisfy you for about 22 minutes, and you're gonna go back and get another $4.99 meal. If you look at it like that, but my thing is, if I know that what I'm doing is preventing things, like, give you an example, for the last 12 to 15 years, every year about October, November, I get a respiratory infection. I used to get a respiratory infection every year. So you're talking about going to the doctor, you're talking about medicine, you're talking about missed work, all that stuff, right? 2015 to now, I didn't get sick. This is the first time in over a decade that I did not get a respiratory infection in October, November. Every year when it gets cold, the weather changes, the wind comes, I'm in music. Next thing you know, my voice goes out. I catch a cold. I get the flu. All that happens. This is the first year in over a decade that didn't happen. Now, how much money did I save? Now, those kale that I bought and those baby spinach and the frozen fruit and the water, yes, it costs money. But in the long run, it's about my health, because we're paying for insurance, but we're not really paying for health care. We're paying for disease care. I know that this food is helping me, and my decisions are helping me stay healthy so that I can continue to be productive. And so in the long run, am I worth it? Yeah. Is this bag of kale by itself cost more than this Happy Meal or whatever you want to call it? Yes, it does. But is this allowing me personally not to be sick? Yes. And so to me, it's worth it. You know why? I eat less. We buy less groceries. We're not going to the store as much. So if you're just talking about meal per meal, it may look more. But in the long run, I'm not consuming as much food. Why? Because most of the foods we eat now are caloric dense. So you eat a little bit, but it may have 2,000 to 3,000 calories. You know how many pounds of a salad that you can eat to meet the 2,000 calories we supposed to eat every day? How many pounds of salad would you?
I have no idea.
Let me tell you the answer. 20.
20 pounds of salad?
20 pounds of salad would give you 2,000 calories.
Now, that's not with Thousand Island dressing.
I'm not talking about it. I said salad. I didn't say that. I said salad.
Yeah.
But one meal sometimes is that entire what we're supposed to have on a daily basis. So it's not about that. It's about taking care of yourself and investing in yourself.
Okay, I didn't mention, as I introduced you in the beginning, we are friends. You're a Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter. Music is really your heart. I mean, God's your heart, but I'm just saying, you express yourself through music and other things too, I know. Right. Have you found that since you have been on this journey and you've seen the weight, go away and you're feeling better, you've got more energy, have you found your mental ability, just your creative ability, thinking, maybe as you're writing a new song or you're doing something that's improved also?
I think all those skills, cognitive and whatever, have been improved. I think for myself personally, I believe that it's given me clarity. I don't have all this extra stuff. Remember, because a lot of our food has chemicals and drugs and all that stuff in it, right? And it impacts our life more than what we want to acknowledge. I think for me, it's given me clarity, not just artistically, just in life. Last year, I wanted to get out of debt and I wanted to buy a home for my family, and I was trying to figure out how. Through my process, I was able to buy a home for my family. I was able to get rid of some debt. There were these spiritual things that I feel like I was able to do because I had more clarity and more understanding. And when I slowed down and once the food was pushed away and once I started getting these things in my life, not only was the physical weight coming off, it was also some spiritual things coming off. And also I was able to clearly see this is a great decision for your family in the long run. Don't do this right now. I was able to, like I said, eliminate $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month that I was paying in bills and stuff because I had clarity. I could see it. I had understanding. I had a moment to say, that's not a good decision. You know what? That was a really quick decision I made. I'm not going to do that right. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. So I was able to focus on the task at hand. And I think that it just enhances every part of my life, having that spiritual clarity. And I thank God for that.
And of course, this not only has revolutionized your life, right. Your wife, Shay, has also adopted these life changes.
Some of them.
Well, I mean, I saw that, she posts too about, eating an avocado for lunch. That's with right. Some other, healthy choices. And
it impacted my whole house. It really did.
My kids daughter, too? How do they receive this?
Well, my daughter, my wife, something really fantastic happened last year. My wife did a post of our daughter's summer. She had bad eczema. I mean, all in the elbow joints, all in her hands. Her hands were like she had snakeskin gloves on. And when my daughter saw what I started doing, my daughter went to my wife and said, I want to start doing what Dad is doing, because we've been to the doctor, we got the cortisone, we got all the creams and all the lotions and pills, all that. My daughter said, maybe what Dad is doing will help me. When she started doing it, just slightly changing. She didn't really juice like me, but my wife just started buying things differently in the house, getting away from gluten, getting away from a lot of the sugar, getting away from the fried stuff, the white flour stuff, getting away from that. We looked up one day. My daughter kept doing what she was doing before with the coconut oil and applying that. We looked up one day, and her hands and her arms were like the eczema went away. It was like she had baby skin. I mean, she literally screamed. And when she came into the room with me, because she dealt with this all her life from 9 to 13, man, all I could do was shed some tears, because here's a 13-year-old girl, number one. Girls at that age don't need nothing wrong with them. And to see her get relief, and it came through her nutrition. My wife put that post up on Facebook and showed before and after. The thing went viral. 50,000 shares, 50,000 likes, 14,000 comments. People from all over the world were commenting saying, what did you do to help your daughter get rid of this eczema? And man, it became a ministry in itself, man. It just became, I mean, literally my wife went from 300-400 friends on Facebook to like 4,000 friend requests.
Wow.
All from one post because of my daughter's decision to eat better.
earlier in the conversation here, Antonio, you said something that, again, I want to kind of bring back out, and that is the fact that you had a plan that was a day at a time, and you repeated that plan every day.
Yeah.
And then that's how you have seen the results where you are right now.
That's right. Yeah, I just simply decided, I really made some basic decisions. I said, well, I started finding out, I did some research and found out that raw fruits and vegetables and water was the way for me, that I needed to flood my life with that. So what did that mean? That meant that I had to go do a audit of my refrigerator and my kitchen. I had to go in there and say, what foods in here is aiding my sickness? And so I threw out some foods that I liked. I got rid of canned foods. I got rid of a lot of the sweet drinks and all that. And I started filling my home with the food that God made. At the end of the day, that's what I did. I started eating food as grown. If it didn't grow in a can, I'm not going to eat it. If it didn't grow in a bag, I'm not going to eat it. If it didn't grow out of the ground in the box, I'm not going to eat it. What did I eat? I ate food as grown. So in other words, the section of the store that most of us zoom by, I started pitching a tent in that section of the store. I started pitching a tent in the produce section, in the section that had the herbs, in the sections that had, the pink Himalayan salt and the hemp seeds and the chia seeds and the flax seeds. And I started finding out about these oils. I started hanging out in a part of the store that looked like it was a garden. And I stayed there and I started finding out about foods and the colors of foods, that I started researching that if something is red and this red orangey little thing is good for your heart. I started finding out things that were white was good for different things in your life. I started just figuring out, green foods. If I really want to take care of my digestive system and things with diabetes and sugar, what would I need to do? I need to get this green, dark green, leafy food in my life. I became best friends with kale and spinach and all those types of things. I started researching and I started spending time with the food that had life in it, because I understood that if I consume life, it was going to give me life. We can never expect to get life from something that never had it. And that's what I was eating. I was dying because I was eating something that was dead. And so I started consuming what had life in it. The other stuff didn't have the ability to give me life because it never had it.
It was created in a laboratory. The chemicals and all the processed stuff that we talked about that aren't good for us.
Right.
And I think we know what's the healthy things to eat. It's just making those choices, having the control, and choosing this day. This day I'm choosing to serve God by, taking care of this temple, this body.
Right.
And I'm going to do it by eating the right things, And it really does make a difference. I feel, and this has only been since after Thanksgiving for me, not as long as you have. I haven't dropped. I didn't do 103 day of juicing like you've done. Mm-hmm. I am juicing though, and I have already noticed a huge difference in my energy level, the way I feel. I feel so much better, and I'm wanting to again just do that. It's a day at a time. If I think about it, and from from time from now, it's very frustrating and things like. But if you just take a day at a time, because that's all we're promised anyway, and take what God's given us now and enjoy, eat, and the healthy things that can make our bodies feel better. Boy, is it better for us? It's so much better. Hey, our time is slipping away on this show, and we'll have to do updates and see where each of us are on it. You've also added some activity. I think you're starting to jog and starting to do some other exercise too.
Yeah, I'm like the Bionic Man now. I'm out there running, man. I'm actually kind of doing some training for a half marathon. I'm not saying I'm going to do the marathon, but I'm acting like I'm going to do the marathon. I got to have a goal, but I'm getting out there, man. I'm running again. I'm feeling great. I have a couple of apps. I keep up with my steps every day. All I'm trying to do is just take care of me. I love my wife of 23 years. I love my 3 children. And I want to be around when and if they decide to have grandkids. I want to be around to see my legacy and see my potential. And that's important to me. I just want people to know that they can. So many people believe because they keep rehearsing their failures. I just want them to know that they can and that they're worth it, man.
Yeah. Antonio, if listeners want more information about some of the steps you've made, are you blogging? Is there a website? How can folks, connect with you?
2 ways. We have a site set up. We call it thebodyreset.net. You can go in and get you a checklist. It's an automatic checklist. Once you sign up for our email list, you get a checklist that kind of talks about some of the things of how to get started. But we do things day to day on Facebook at The Body Reset Nation. The Body Reset Nation on Facebook. Or again, if you want to get a little body checklist, want to kind of have some ideas of how to get started, just visit our site, thebodyreset.net.
All right. Hey, it's always fun to have you in the studio. Look forward to having you come back in, and we'll talk more about healthy eating and whatever else is on Antonio Neal's mind.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, too. Hey, friends, that's all the time we have on this edition of Mid-South Viewpoint. I really appreciate you stopping by. Our guest today, Antonio Neal, getting that healthy start in 2016. Yes, we can do it together. Let's be accountable to each other. Let's start eating those healthy foods. And you might want to juice a little bit today. It's not going to hurt you. Listen, I like to throw a cucumber in with some kale and spinach leaves and maybe an apple and a little almond milk and some a few grapes. And I'll even throw in some of those raw cashews I was talking about last time and make a delicious smoothie. And you can have all kinds of creative ways and be healthy too. I'm Byron Tyler. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.